Tonight, you'll pull on a jacket without thinking about it. It's cold outside. You reach for warmth. Simple, right? But the real answer is far stranger. Clothing didn't start as protection from the cold at all. Your ancestors lost their body hair long before they ever wore a single stitch of fabric. For nearly 2 million years, they walked the earth almost completely bare-skinned. No fur, no fabric, just skin, exposed to sun, wind, and freezing nights. So how did they survive? And why, after all that time, did they suddenly start covering themselves? The answer isn't written in bones or fossils, it's written in lice. In 2003, biologist Mark Stoneking led a study comparing head lice, which live in hair, to body lice, which live only in clothing. Body lice can't survive without fabric to hide in. So by measuring the genetic divergence between the two species, researchers could estimate exactly when clothing entered the human story. The number that came back was staggering, roughly 170,000 years ago, long after humans lost their fur, long after they'd already adapted to bare skin. That gap is the mystery. If your ancestors had survived naked for over 1 million years, something else must have pushed them toward fabric. Not the weather, something bigger. Around that time, the planet was sliding into an ice age. Anthropologist Ian Gilligan has spent years studying exactly this shift, and his research points to something surprising. Clothing wasn't invented gradually as a comfort. It was invented urgently as survival technology, right as temperatures collapsed. Humans needed to migrate into brutally cold regions to follow food, and bare skin simply couldn't keep up. Fire helped, shelter helped, but movement demanded something portable, something you could wear, so they began wrapping themselves in animal hides. Crude at first, just skins draped over shoulders, but researcher Ralph Kittler, working alongside Stoneking, found something else hidden in the data. Body lice appeared far earlier in African populations than in populations that later migrated into Europe and Asia. That means clothing wasn't invented once, in one place. It was invented independently by different groups, all facing the same brutal problem at roughly the same time. Think about that for a second. Separated by oceans and mountain ranges with no way to communicate, ancient humans arrived at the exact same solution. Wrap the body, trap the heat, survive the cold that was killing everyone who couldn't adapt fast enough. But here's the part that changes everything. Once clothing existed, it stopped being just a tool. It became a message. A hide draped a certain way could signal status. A specific pattern could mark which group you belong to. Suddenly, clothing wasn't only about survival. It was about identity, about who is one of us and who is not. That single shift from function to meaning may be one of the oldest forms of human communication that still exists today. And that brings you back to your closet this morning. You didn't choose your outfit because you were freezing. You chose it because of what it says. A sharp jacket for a meeting, comfortable clothes for a night in. Certain colors, certain brands, certain cuts that quietly tell people who you are before you say a single word. Your ancestors wrapped themselves in hides to survive an ice age. You wrap yourself in fabric to survive something else entirely. The constant quiet pressure of being seen, judged, and understood in seconds. The material changed. Wool became cotton, became polyester. But the impulse underneath it never left. Every time you get dressed, you're doing something far older than fashion. You're doing something your ancestors did 170,000 years ago. In the freezing dark, when survival depended on covering the body just enough to make it through the night. So tonight, when you pull on that jacket without thinking about it, remember, it was never really about the cold.